Welcome back to another episode of Modular Wild. I am Raul. In the last video of the Fonitronik MH31, we processed a few normal waveforms. I think we processed sine and triangles and so forth. This time around, I thought we would do alternate sound sources. So this time we'll be listening to some processing of drum sounds. And then for our second example, we'll do some vocal type sounds through our friend, the voltage-controlled modulator. If you have any questions about what this module does, I would recommend that you check out the sort of overview or the profile video that I did on the Fonitronik MH31 voltage control modulator. That gives you kind of an overview of all the controls here on the front panel. And then in the last one we did, as I said before, just some basic waveforms. So in essence, this guy is kind of a little take on the ring modulator. This time we're going to process first a drum sound, so let's get that patched in and we'll hear what that sounds like. So I'm going to patch this into the modulator signal and we should be able to hear our drum sound here in a moment. Now I haven't patched in our final output, which is why we're not hearing any sound yet. So let me actually get my carrier going as well before we actually listen to it. So I'm just going to take a sine wave from here, like that. And this is the Livewire audio frequency generator. So simple waveform of sine. And then I'm going to patch it into the carrier right there. And we may have to adjust these two attenuators here in a moment, but let's listen to what we have so far. So this is processed already with a sine wave. Now let me turn down our carrier signal so we can hear just the dry drum sound. So that's kind of just our normal drum sound, kind of an 808-ish type beat. And then as I bring my carrier in, we start to get that nice kind of ringy sound. Now you can also hear the tone of the oscillator coming in. So at this point you kind of just adjust that to taste. You know, if you want very little of the oscillator tone, you kind of finesse it until you hear as little as possible, so it's only occurring when the drum hits. Bring this up a little bit. So you get a nice balance of what you like. Of course, if you like that kind of drony sound and you want more of it, more distorted, kind of bring that up a little. Now if you wanted to switch it up, you can change the waveform. Right now we're doing a sine, but if I wanted to, we could try a triangle wave. Let's see what that sounds like. And you could also adjust the pitch of your VCO as well for varied effects. So if I go higher, get, you know, sounds like this. Really warping and destroying our sound, really. There's a really, really loud sound right there. Okay, let's do one more waveform before we move on to our second example. We'll try a square out. And let me play around with the pitch of the VCO so we can hear a few different pitches. at this point, it's really just a matter of taste, or what type of sound you're going for. Now, if you wanted to go one step further, you could also inject, another waveform from a different source, like we did last time. So I could maybe take a waveform from here, and then just pipe it into the CV in here. Get an even more distorted signal. So lots and lots of possibilities there, depending on what waveforms you choose and what your personal taste is. So let's unpatch that, and then we'll get our second example going here. So let me get our audio coming from there, which is going to be a different cable. So I'm just going to patch in the modulator signal here, and I'm going to start up our sample, which is kind of this vocal tone. You can listen to it.
The cat's name was my favorite pet in Playmates.
This is just a computer voice
fed him, and he attended me
speaking
I went about the house.
A book by Edgar Allan Poe.
That I could prevent him from following me through the streets. Our friendship lasted, in this manner, for several years.
So that's the normal version.
My general temperament and character.
Now let's take a sine wave like we did before
of the fiend intemperance
and feed it into the carrier signal.
To confess it, experienced a radical alteration for the worse. I grew, day by day, more moody, more irritable, regardless of the feelings of others. I suffered myself to use intemperate language to my wife. At length, I even offered her personal violence. My pets, of course, were made to feel the change in my disposition. I not only neglected, but ill-used them.
Let's finesse it a little more and just kind of see what other possibilities are there.
To restrain me from maltreating her, as I made no scope of maltreating my pets, but my kid, wherever went down, when by accident, or through affection, I came my way. But my disease grew upon me, for what disease is like alcohol. And at length even Pluto, who was now becoming old, and consequently somewhat peevish, even Pluto began to experience the effects of my ill temper. One night, returning home,
okay, let's try a different waveform now.
From
let's
one of
go
my haunts about town, I fancied that the cat avoided my presence. I seized him when, in his fright at my violence, he inflicted a slight wound upon my hand with his teeth. The fury of a demon instantly possessed me. I made myself no longer. My original soul seemed, at once, to take its flight from my brain. A foolish reverence, cruelty, forever founded in that frown. I took from my rascal paper the penknife, opened it, grasped the purple.
So you can get some otherworldly voices going on here for sure.
From the socket. I blush, I burn, I shudder. Powered by over transfer. When reason returned with the morning, when I had slept off the fumes of the night's debauch, I experienced a sentimental of horror and remorse for the crime of which I
Let's try one more waveform, and then we'll wrap up our demo.
A feeble and equivocal
Here comes a square.
I then plunged into excess, and so drowned lying fell my way of the demon. In the meantime, the cat slowly recovered. The socket of the lost I presented, it is true, a frightful appearance, but he no longer appeared to suffer any pain. He went about the house as usual, but, as might be expected, fled in extreme terror at my approach. I had so much of my old heart left as to be at first grieved by this evident dislike on the part of a creature which had once so loved me. But this feeling soon gave place to irritation, and then came, as if to my final and irrevocable overthrow, the spirit of perverseness. Of this great philosophy takes no account. Yet I am not more sure that my soul lies, than knowing that perverseness is one of the primitive impulses of the human heart, one of the indivisible power faculties, or sentiments, which give direction to the
That seems like a nice little happy range, so let's go maybe back to the triangle and see if it works better in this setting right there.
For no other reason than because he knows he should know. Have we not perpetuated natural inclination, in the teeth of our best judgment, to violate the Porch's law, merely because we understand it to be such. The spirit of perverseness, I say, came to my final overthrow. It was this
And there you have it.
belonging of the soul to
Alternate audio source processing with the Fonitronik MH31. So hopefully you found this demo useful. It's just kind of another example of other types of audio sources that you can process with this module. Stay tuned for hopefully another Modular Wild soon in the future, and we'll see you next time.